For full episodes of the Diverse Mentality podcast, check the links in the description below. The full video version is available on the main channel, and the audio version is available on your favorite streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. T-Pain. So T-Pain, you know how he figured out how to go into Instagram DMs, and he figured out that a lot of people were actually hitting him up to do music, and he just didn't realize it. Well, he got on a podcast, I think the 85 South show, and claimed that Nicki Minaj never followed through with their plans to work together in 2007. Now, mind you, in 2007, T-Pain was literally the hottest thing ever. He had a #1 album. He had Bartender out. He had a lot of hit records out. And Nicki really wasn't known. She was an upcoming artist. 2007, she started blowing up in like 2008 a little bit, and then 2009 really started taking off. But let's go over the article. Nicki isn't too proud to admit she's made some mistakes when it comes to her career. After T-Pain went on record at the 85 South show and claimed she never followed through with their plans to work together in 2007, she wound up issuing an apology. So this is what T-Pain said. We was about to work together and she stopped responding. T-Pain explained. I was like, Nicki, let me know what's going on. She was like, hey, I'm an artist too and I'm working on my shit. So, baby, chill. And I was like, oh, my heart, maybe I was in love with Nicki Minaj. Despite his heartbreak, T-Pain was certain the move wasn't anything malicious. Upon seeing T-Pain's interview, Nicki Minaj quickly addressed the failed attempt at a collaboration in the Shade Room's comment section and kicked herself for not taking T-Pain up on the offer at the time. After all, T-Pain had a #1 album that year and was one of the hottest artists on the scene. She said this, I don't remember this at all, but definitely sounds like something I would say. Oh my God, what was I thinking? He was already a really big artist. I was still underground. Chill. I was about to be bugging, yo. I was under so much pressure to deliver. My bad, babe. All love. I have nothing but respect for your talent, and thank you and Kanye for clearing the go hard for beating me up Scotty last month. Listening to you over and over on that record taught me so much about harmonies and background vocals. Your vocals on that song are goated for life. I listened to every single detail at T-Pain. So this is a big ass. T-Pain's been like ducked by so many artists, but then again, he didn't even realize that people in the DMs were hitting him up to do music. So now he's starting to work with newer artists. He has a record out with Kalani that's actually performing pretty well. It's the #1 most added record, I think, on urban radio. So it's starting to catch, steam. And T-Pain just, like when I did the What Happened to T-Pain video, he's just a generally good guy, like genuinely very good. When I was doing the documentary on him, it was like very sad to see that he was extending his hand out to other people and they were just treating him like trash. Like he was telling stories about artists that he looked out for when it comes to features. And then when he needed a feature, they're like, nah, we're going to charge you. And, just shit like that. Industry bullshit of people that are fake, that pretend to be cool and that they respect you. But then when you ask for a favor in return, they're like, nah, hell no, here's money, you have to pay me, blah, blah, blah. So T-Pain didn't have to do that for a lot of artists. At that point, 2005 to 2008, you could argue, T-Pain was damn near the hottest on hooks, even Akon at the time. And the Akon was signed under T-Pain. T-Pain was signed under Akon. So both of them were running the hook game. Like Akon was on every hook, T-Pain was on every hook. And that was a special moment, man. So the fact that T-Pain and Nicki were talking in 2007 and Nicki just kind of brushed him off. But the thing that I would take away from this is that this is proof that you don't need anyone to make it. You technically don't. You don't need a big artist name on your track to make it. Look at this. Nicki Minaj in 2007 wasn't really known. T-Pain was the hottest shit. They didn't work together. Guess what happened? Nicki Minaj still made it. Nicki Minaj became one of the biggest female rappers ever. You could argue the biggest of all time. So that just shows that, you don't really need people. You can make it on your own. You don't have to work with big artist names to make it. I know a lot of artists, I'm not going to say names, who have worked with a lot of big artist names and that are completely nowhere now. They're garbage. Because that doesn't determine if you're good, if you're a quality artist. What determines is your consistency, your quality of content. And Nicki had that. So she wasn't really tripping on the T-Pain thing if it didn't work out. She just moved on, worked on her shit, blew up, so on and so forth. That's what the takeaway from this story should be for artists or for people in general. Don't rely, like even for me on this podcast, I'm not relying on artists to come through and show up. Like I'm doing this shit regardless. It doesn't matter to me. I would love for artists to come through and do interviews.
that's one of the reasons why I started it. But if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to sit here and be like, man, I'm quitting. It is what it is. No, I'm going to grind it out. And eventually it's going to become so hot at the point where the artist will want to come on. And that applies to anything that you're doing. If people don't treat you with that respect, or they don't look at you like to that higher standard, when you make it blow up, then they're going to want to come on. Then they're going to want to talk to you. And at that point, that's when you tax their ass, because they're not doing shit when you weren't shit. So, but yeah, that's my takeaway on this. That's the best takeaway on this story, is that don't rely on, anybody to help you out. Obviously, the story here is switched up. T-Pain was willing to help her out. I'm not saying T-Pain wasn't willing to help her out. But even if it didn't happen, like, it didn't stop Nicki Minaj, and it shouldn't stop anybody. If something doesn't happen in your life, don't let it stop you from doing what you want to do. That's just stupid. So, great story there, man. So shout out to T-Pain. Great guy, Nicki Minaj. Shout out to her.